This is going to be Wednesdays with Wager on week 9 in the NFL. If you follow me, if you've been following me or just started last week, I hope you didn't just start last week because I did crappy. It's my first bad week of the year, though. Pretty well every other week, I've either been broke even or made money. If you go to my Discord, I save the day a little bit on the Sunday and the Monday games. So you really, if you're interested in this stuff, you really need to join my Discord because you get a lot more information from me and others as well on my Discord. But last week was not a great week for me. I had a lot of really close calls, but in the end, that doesn't matter. You know, it's only about winning and losing, and that's all that matters when you're betting the money. It's just about winning. That's it, and that's something to keep in mind. Is that especially, um, I know the World Series is on, but I go on. I've been going on at 9, and I got to keep doing that, Googs. I know the World Series is on. But I've been going on at 9 all the time. I need to keep going on at 9. And anyways, I've already hit 4 of the bets I put out, and the Yankees, they had a chance there to take the lead again. I hit all 4 props already. So, Goose, what's up, man? Uh, you're funny. But anyways, so last week in the NFL, it just kind of fell on its face. But if you were on my college plays the day before, I crushed it, right? I went, what I go like 9-3 or 9-2 or 9-2, I think maybe 9-3. It was 9-3, right? Because yeah, I was 75%, 9-3 in college. And again, you got to get on my, you have to get on my Discord if you want to take full advantage of what I do. And trust me, it's worth it. There's other guys on there. They're betting hockey today. I mean, on there, and they're talking about hockey on there. So it's a big deal to just get on my Discord. It's free, guys. It's not, it doesn't cost anything. So don't get in the Discord. Yeah, but it's free. So there's no reason to not get that much information as well. So let's talk about this Thursday night game. This is a weird one, right? I think at the beginning of the year on paper, this was going to be really good. Hello, Aiden. This is going to be a really good one. It's Houston going to New York to play the Jets. Houston is just getting blasted by injuries lately. And it's all at the receiver spot. So they've lost essentially their probably top 2 receivers this year now. Both full season injuries. And that really going to limit them. It's really, really, really going to limit them. The problem is the Jets can't beat anybody. Hello, Waylon. And the Jets, they just lost to New England, a team that they should be able to dominate, and they lost to them. It doesn't make any sense. Devontae Adams, this is his second full week there. That should help. Don't get me wrong, he was a part of the offense from day one there when he got there, but still, the Jets should be better than their record if you look at their talent. But let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers has been great when it mattered, right? He hasn't been great in the big situations in the fourth quarter. Okay, cool, man. I don't really know anything about emo bands, but I'll take your word for it. TX2. Hey, if you're into emo, get it. So cool. You have a really cool name, Rhiannon. That's awesome. Anyways, if you're into sports betting, that's what this channel's about. For whatever reason, I don't really know why I'm getting advertised to everybody, but cool. I mean, viewers are viewers, right? Anyways, I want to talk about some interesting stats in this Texans and Jets game real quick. So that, hold on, they're going against. What about E? What about me? Yeah, Googs, you have a cool name too. It would be even cooler if I could pronounce your real name. But so the Texans, believe it or not, the Jets have the sixth best pass D and the eighth best defense against running backs, which is a big deal in this game if the Houston isn't going to have all the receivers, right? So Joe Mixon's going to have a hard day, probably. He's probably going to have a pretty tough day. I still like him to get in the end zone, but I think he's going to have a hard day. And Houston O-line, they give up a pretty high pressure rate. And with the depleted wide receiver core, I think Houston's O-line gives up a pressure rate in the 40s. And that's really high. Their O-line isn't very good. So when they had all them great receivers, it kind of, CJ Stroud could move a little bit and those guys would get open, but that's not the case anymore. So that O-line is going to probably get eaten up in this one a little bit by the Jets. Also, the Texans defense has given up a ton of receiving touchdowns, which is kind of weird because they have the best pressure rate. They have either the first or the second best pressure rate, which is also kind of weird. Some of why Houston has given up a lot of touchdowns is somewhat of who they've played. They've played some kind of pass happy teams. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, has the least pressure rate. Everyone talks about how bad his O-line is, and it probably is, but he gets the ball out so quickly. Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out faster than any other quarterback. He only gets pressured 25% of the time. And against Houston's D, that's a big deal because Houston has the most sacks and they have the highest pressure rate. So why I'm bringing all this stuff up about this is because, well, that's cool. It's because that's where this game is going to be won and lost, is who can get to the quarterback in this one. And believe it or not, guys, I like the Jets here. I think Houston is just losing too much, especially for a young quarterback, CJ Stroud. And there's some other reasons here. It's a short week. It's a Thursday game. It's a game that doesn't really matter to Houston. It doesn't really matter to Houston because they're not in competition with these guys for their division. And let's be honest, they're probably not in competition for the 1 seed or the 2 seed at this point. Because I do think Houston will lose some more games with these receiver problems. So I think this one is one where the Jets get it done. I don't think it's going to be real high scoring. I think it's going to be lower scoring. 42 is pretty low total, and that's what the total's sitting at. Right now, the Jets are laying 1.5 at home, which still indicates that on a neutral site that Houston would be favored. But overall, I think the Jets get this one. Okay. I love the people that come in here. But that's right. I'm hanging my hat here on the Jets. I think they get it done. I also like a Davante Adams touchdown at plus 140. I think that's too good a value to pass up. With another week with Aaron Rodgers in practice, and they've installed some more offense, probably directly for him. I think Davante Adams probably finds the end zone in this one. I don't know, man. I guess I'm getting promoted differently. And I like Joe Mixon to score a touchdown, and his a little juiced up at 145. But the reason is because Houston has lost so many players, right? So Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, and Tank Dell are going to really have to carry this load. And I think that, hello, Andrea. I really think that in the end, Houston's going to be able to run the ball a little bit. And I think when they get in the red zone, I think they kind of just force feed Joe Mixon. So I like Joe Mixon to get in the end zone too. And this is going to sound crazy because they've been kind of bad all year. But I like Aaron Rodgers to throw over 1.5 touchdown passes in this game. It's plus money. And the reason I say that is because I feel like this is a spot where Houston's kind of going to give up. They're just going to say, okay, you know what? Let's get through this game. If we lose, we lose. because in the big scheme of things, it really doesn't matter for Houston. And this game is everything to the Jets. If the Jets go 2-7 here, if they go to 2-7, it's so far gone. Do I like ICP? Okay. I when I was younger, I liked ICP. When I was a teenager, I haven't listened to ICP in 25 years, maybe. I don't know, a lot of years. Uh, I don't listen to them anymore. But when I was younger, I did. Definitely their first couple CDs, back when CDs were a thing. So I should. Well, I mean, I did it one time. Um, I when I was younger, so we're going to talk about this for a second, I guess. Um, they didn't really match the kind of rap I liked, so to speak. I was more of into gangster rap, so I liked the West Coast gangster rap when I was younger, and ICP didn't really fit it. I know they came along a little later, but by then, um, they were kind of like a novelty to me. Hi, Jaden. Okay, cool. Hi, Jaden. Yeah, I can say hi to you. Um, oh, these followers, Gigs, it's great, Gigs, right? Whatever. Maybe these people are amazing. Yeah, I don't know. They're just an icon on my screen, right? Why is this thing wiggling so much? Um, but anyway, so just to recap my jumbled up handicap here on this Jets game. I'm going to say I like the Jets money line. I'm not going to lay any points with the Jets, even though it's 1.5. I'm just not going to lay any points because the Jets will figure out how to win by one. Um, so I like the Jets money line. I like Devonta Adams to get in the end zone. I like Mixon to get in the end zone for Houston, and I like Aaron Rodgers to have over 1.5 passing touchdowns. These are the plays I like. Again, I don't think it's going to be terribly high scoring. If you're into the over and under, I would suggest teasing the under. I don't think 42 is really worth a bet, but 48 is. It's way safer. 52, if you did a 10-pointer, it's quite a bit safer even then. Um, so what I do this every week, or I try to, where I give out some gambling advice, sports betting advice, handicapping styles, betting styles. I give out something, right? So what I want to talk about this week, because I kind of got my butt kicked last week, is guys, it's not a one bet thing, right? You don't make one bet and that's it. You make bet after bet after bet all year long over the whole course of a month, a week, a season, a year, a decade, right? And so that's what you're trying to do. This is not a lottery ticket. Gambling on sports is not a lottery ticket. I mean, I know you can put bets in like that. You have a 15 pick, and if it hits, yeah, it's like a lottery ticket. But in reality, if you actually want to make some money sports betting, it can't be. An investment. It's a slow build investment. And so when you have bad days, I just kind of shrug them off because I had 5 other good days, or 3 other good days right before it. And so you can't dwell on the bad days and you can't dwell on the good days. Like, so okay. Um, but you know what I mean? So just um you can't just think about it. Oh my gosh, I did so terribly that day, da 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 da. Or I did so great. So Saturday I went 9-3, and Sunday I think I went like 3-9 or something like that. It was bad. Now Sunday night I did good, but the day games I did terrible in. You can't dwell on it like that. Like today, I don't care what I did yesterday, and I did good yesterday. I went 5-2, but it doesn't matter for today's bets, right? And so you got to think about it that way. Remember, it's an investment. It's over time. You're building a little each week, each day, each month, whatever it is. This is not a lottery ticket thing. So when you're doing that, you need to adjust your bankroll accordingly, right? So if you only have $100 to play with, you can't make $20 bets, right? You only have 5 bets then. if you have $100 to play with, I would suggest making whatever the minimum bet your site allows. If it's $1, make dollar bets until you're up to $200. And then make $2 bets, and so on and so forth. I know that seems like it's a waste of time, but if you spend your time and you're doing this for the long term, and you're going to sports bet for 10 years, that $100 played correctly could turn into $1,000, and that's a real thing. That's a real thing that can happen in sports betting over time. So it's not like other styles of betting. It's not like playing craps or blackjack or anything like that. It's you have so much more you can bet on, and you have so much more information about it, and the casino doesn't have a direct edge on you one way or the other. You can research their edge out, and you don't have to make a bet. So in all those other games, you have to make specific bets, right? In sports betting, the variety is so large. If you look hard enough, you can find a really good bet that the casino didn't handicap very well. And so that all factors into it being more of a long-term investment versus a short-term, or like a lottery ticket. It's not something you're going to win $1 million tomorrow on, unless you bet $1 million. You know what I mean? So if you're betting $50 is your total risk in a week, expect to win 15. Expect to bring back 65. Keep your expectations realistic, and you won't have as many ups and downs. It won't bother you as much knowing that in 4 weeks from now you're going to be up 15%. 8 weeks from now you're going to be up 22%. And that's kind of the thought process behind it that I suggest that you develop. Again, it took a long time, and there's a lot of things that go into that. You got to quit playing a lot of parlays. You got to lay off the parlays. That helps a lot. You got to really manipulate your betting and take your biggest value, right? You want to bet mostly plus money bets, or really close to plus money bets that are single bets. You don't want to bet a ton of minus 200s and minus 400s. I'm not saying never bet them, because there is times when they are real and you should bet them. Last year, we were betting on Jokic to hit three-pointers. A lot of times it'd be minus 190, but he only had to make one three-pointer. And I don't know how many times it happened. Yes, this is live. I don't remember how many times it happened that he hit the three-pointer in like the first 3 or 4 shots of the game. Guys, give me 1 second. I got to let my dog out. Six, 5 Yankees. That's what we need, the Yankees, right? We're on the Yankees money line. But anyway, so that's the idea. You got to make of it more of an investment, less of a, you're not just winning a lottery ticket. You're not putting in a slot. It's not a slot machine. Gambling on sports is a slow build. All right. Yeah, bubble $5 tables in Blackhawk. Yeah, they're all over Blackhawk. Yeah, they're everywhere in Blackhawk. $5 tables. I think there's even some $3 bubble craps there. Maybe even $1 if you go up to the Century. I can't remember if the Century is $1 or not. Maybe it's $5 total. Oh, that pay triple. I don't know about that. Do any of them pay triple? I think they have to, right? In Colorado, they have to pay triple. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe that's just the table. You know what I like at the Monarch is they have sick bow. If you go over by the stairs that go to the poker room, they have some sick bow bubble craps. If me and my wife sat there and played it for a while, it was cool. We actually made some money on it too. It was kind of neat. I'd never seen sick bow bubble craps before that. But it was pretty neat. But sick bow's a 3 dice game. It's kind of like craps, but you can bet on not pairs. You can bet on like a triplet of dice, and you can bet on the total that'll add up to Michael Dwyer. Clamp your cheeks for the chat one time, bro. I don't really know what you mean. I think you're saying I have chubby cheeks because I kind of do. That's kind of weird, and I don't need your super chat. Yeah, I've played all that stuff, Sam. I tend to stay away from anything electric. Don't make it weird. I tend to stay away from anything electronic. I don't prefer it. I prefer the live tables, live dealers, all that. But there's nothing wrong with the bubble craps. I just don't prefer it. Um, Michael, do I know you? Do I know you like personally? Because sound like I know a person named Michael Dwyer, but I just highly doubt you're them. Um, anyway, let's move on to these Sunday games. I hope not. Thanks. Appreciate that. Um, so for the Sunday games, I got we got one, two, three, four, five, six, eight. I got eight plays on Sunday, and this varies. Like I think one week I had four, one week I had eight or nine. This way, I have eight. There's some good matchups, interesting matchups, some weird lines. We're gonna go through them here. So I like Buffalo -6 against Miami. I like yeah, I just don't trust that Tua is gonna be that effective against Buffalo. Buffalo has kicked his I think he's 11. Buffalo's 11-1 against him or something like that. He hasn't beat Buffalo very many times, and this one's in Buffalo, laying less than a touchdown. I think Buffalo gets this done here. Another one I like is New England +3.5 versus Tennessee. I I don't think Tennessee's very good. And I think New England coming off a big win against the Jets. I just think New England getting a field goal here and a hook. If Tennessee wins, did they win by more than three? I just don't see them winning by more than three. So I like New England here +3.5. I think it's a good bet. Washington -4 versus the Giants. The Giants are coming off a Monday night loss to Pittsburgh where they got beat up real bad. And Washington hit the Hail Mary, right? They got the Hail Mary in against Chicago, but Washington was winning almost that whole game. So laying 4 versus the Giants doesn't seem like a big ask. I know the first game they played was kind of a knockdown drag out, but I don't think this one will. I think Washington runs away with that one. That's probably my favorite bet of the week is the Washington -4. Um, and even if Jalen Daniels kind of sits a little bit in that one, I'm still okay with it. Even with Mariota in there. I just don't think the Giants can really compete against Washington. Washington's too high powered. Well, that's cool. That's awesome, Sam. That's really cool. You know, I like the Ameristars live. Yeah, Ameristar has stadium craps. I've been in there a bunch. I like their live tables. They're really small, or at least when I lived there 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, or whatever it was. They're real small tables, and I really like their tables. Um, they're probably my favorite tables in in all of Blackhawk. I would say the one that was at the Saratoga. It's one of those really shallow tables. It's real tall, but it's really shallow and it's short. I really like that one too. That was one of my favorite ones as well. But it wasn't open that often, which kind of made it hard to deal with there. Horseshoe crapsless. Um, which one's the horseshoe? Is that the one that's right across from Monarch? Yeah, I've played on their craps list, and I don't mind their tables. Their tables are okay there. I wasn't fond of their dealers there though. I didn't really care for their dealers at that one. I think when I played there, it was called the Isle. But my actual brother actually works at the Monarch, so uh, the Monarch is my favorite casino there. I like the dealers there the best. Um, but it's the hardest one to win at for sure. The, in my opinion, the easiest one to win at is the Lodge. I like the Lodge's tables too, but they're always packed. Anyways, we talked about Buffalo, New England, Washington. Um, Jacksonville and Philadelphia over 45 and a half. I still don't think Philadelphia can stop anything. I know they held Cincinnati to 17, but if you watch that game, Cincinnati held themselves to 17. And Philadelphia walked them. Philadelphia kicked their butt. But I think Jacksonville has just enough offense to get to 17 themselves. And I think Philadelphia probably scores 28, 30, somewhere in there. Um, the 45 and a half, I don't think that's high enough. I don't. I think they blow that out. Actually, I don't think that's even close to the total. I think this should be over 50 because I don't think that Jacksonville will stop Philadelphia more than a couple times from scoring. So I expect Philadelphia to probably bust the 30s in that one, which doesn't leave a lot for Jacksonville to have to do to cover that over. Um, the next game is Chicago and Arizona. I like this one under 44 and a half. Chicago's defense is really good. They're going to hold Arizona down, and Arizona hasn't been scoring all that many points anyway. And Chicago's defense is really going to limit them. They really limited Jalen Daniels. They're gonna do well against Arizona. Um, Chicago's offense is also so sporadic. You can't expect them to score more than 20. And I don't expect Arizona to get to 20 either. So I, I think this Chicago and Arizona under 44 and a half is a pretty good play. It's pretty easy. I don't think it ever even gets really close to this. I would be surprised if we get within one score of this in that game. Detroit and Green Bay over 48. I think they could have made this one 51, and I still would have liked the over. But that's 7 touchdowns, covers over 48. And Detroit and Green Bay, I know Green Bay has a pretty solid defense, but they haven't seen Detroit. I know they played Minnesota, but that was a really high scoring game. I think Detroit, and this is for first place. If Green Bay wins, them and Detroit will be tied record, but they'll have the tiebreaker. So Detroit's going to play their hardest. Green Bay is going to play their hardest. It's a big deal in that division. This is probably the biggest game of the year so far in that division. The Minnesota one was, and now this one will take its place. I like it to go over 48. I think this is going to be a pretty high flying game, pretty shootout type game. 7 touchdowns, I think, happens pretty easily. The next one, I like the Rams going up to Seattle. They're laying 1.5. The Rams are playing a lot better now that they got the receivers back. The defense is better than people think there. But having their two stud receivers out there with Matthew Stafford, they should be able to really carve up the Seattle defense that got carved up by a Bills team last week at home. Bills flew over there and carved them up. I expect the Rams to do a lot of the same. I don't think Seattle can cover both guys. And I really expect this to kind of be a blowout. I don't have much faith in Geno Smith this year. He just hasn't, he hasn't, even though I think he's leading the league in passing yards, they're really empty yards. They haven't turned into a lot of scores. And so he gets all these yards between the 20s and then they kick field goals. So I don't think that works against the Rams. And the Rams are laying a real short number here at 1.5. All they got to do is win by 3, a really, 23-20 game or 23-17 or something. I think something like that happens here. I expect the Rams to win easily. And the last play I like is the Indy Minnesota over 46.5. So we know about Minnesota, right? Minnesota's going to score some points. One thing is Minnesota's defense was really, really, really high, and they were flying high at the beginning of the year. Well, they've come back down to earth a little bit, and they've given up some pretty big point totals a few times. Um, and I think that's because teams got film on them now. They understand what they're doing, what they're gonna do, and they're playing Indy, but not Indy with Richardson. It's Indy with Flacco. Which, if you look at the games Flacco's played, he's 2-0, and he played really well, and he scored points. So I actually think we're getting a shorter line here because Flacco's playing, but it should actually be longer. So I actually think this is a bad handicap. I think this should be like 48, 49. It's at 46 and a half. I would be surprised if both these teams don't get into the 20s, which makes 46 and a half pretty easy to cover. And I think this thing is something like 27, 24. Not really sure who wins, but it seems like Minnesota should get back on track here after 2 losses. But maybe they're kind of falling on their face. Maybe they're a paper tiger. And Indy's not a bad football team, by the way, guys. They're 4-4. And with Flacco, they're actually a much, much better football team. So I expect them to, like I said, I expect them to really give Minnesota a run here and even beat them. If you're betting a money line to take a money line, this is a money line that you might want to look at with Indy. And then obviously with New England, a New England money line play as well. I think if you're just interested in like parlaying 2 money lines for plus money to try to get a big win, those are 2 that I would be really interested in. Green Bay at home would be another one. But anyways, to recap what I have here on the day games on Sunday, Buffalo -6, New England +3.5, Washington -4, Jacksonville, Philadelphia over 45.5, Chicago and Arizona under 44.5, Detroit and Green Bay over 48, the Rams -1.5, Indy and Minnesota over 46.5. And I didn't actually put out any teaser stuff this week, mostly because I forgot. I forgot to look at the teasers because I didn't put any in yet. Usually I kind of wait till Sunday to put them in on the teasers, but I didn't put any in. So sorry if you like what I do with the teasers, I don't have any for you right now. But just stick with Wong. Wong will be easy. Like I'm looking at this, tease Buffalo down to a pick 'em. Tease New England up to 9.5. There you go. You got a good teaser right there. So solid teaser right there. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, let me know right now. If you want to join my Discord, it's wagermethis@gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll send you an invite to it. You can join up. Get all the other sports bettor guys that are in there's information. Get my information. Talk about stuff. Talk about sports. I stay away from politics and religion and stuff like that, but everything else, you want to talk, whatever it is. There's guys been talking about stock market on there. There's guys talk about hobbies they do. Yeah, a Wong is just a strategy for teasers. That's all it is. Stanford Wong is actually a person, and he actually just did the research for this. People already did this, but he did all the research and put it in a book. And all it is you're looking for spots where you tease through multiple key numbers in the NFL because the NFL is so consistent. And so, yeah, you just go to 6-point teasers. You put together. I would never do more than 2. Yeah, I mean that could be a way they're defending against it. 4.5. That's kind of weird. That's like an NBA teaser almost. Yes, yeah. I use my state sites. I don't use any but them anymore. So I don't really know. I know DraftKings and FanDuel and all them do them. And I think you can do all kinds of numbers. I think there's even one that's like a 20-point teaser on one of them. Yeah, I think you got to pick 4 games and you get 20 points. Like if you're doing that, yeah, that sucks. Well, I know on DraftKings and stuff you can do teasers, 6 points, 7 points, 8 points. Eh, I know that for sure. But I don't know anything about ESPN Bet. I've never used it. So, but anyway, college basketball is getting ramped up. So that's going to be fun. We do a lot of college basketball stuff. Um, they have worse juice now. They're usually about 130. So one of the things I suggest if you come in the Discord, we'll talk about it, is actually just going to the alternate lines and doing a 2-pick parlay. So you can go to the alternate line. Let's say you want to take Buffalo alternate just on the money line, and then alternate New England plus 9.5, and you parlay those two games, and you'll actually get a better payout than using the teaser. But it's easier for me to say teaser on here because people understand what that means. But if you come in my Discord, then myself and others can explain doing it on the alternate lines versus using teasers. But other than that, I mean, this week is a good week for betting, I think. And college football has a bunch of really good games this week as well, which is cool. Still going to ride Colorado's coattails. So something I wanted to just talk about the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm not exactly sure which order this is in. I think they play Texas Tech next, but they play Texas Tech. Oklahoma State is last. Utah. And I can't remember who the other team is. But there's 4 winnable games. Guys, the Colorado Buffaloes could easily end up 10-2. They could be 10-2 at the end of this year, which is super surprising. If you care anything about college football, this should matter to you because this is such a polarizing team and polarizing coaches and all that. But they could actually be 10-2 pretty easily here. In fact, I'd be surprised if they're not either favored or really close lines here the rest of the way out. None of the teams they're playing are better than them on the rest of the year. You might consider them equal, but none are better. So they could easily end 10-2, which is super surprising since Dion's second year there. That's pretty impressive. Whether you like or hate him or whatever the case may be, the fact is they're winning football games. So pretty amazing. He probably has the Heisman Trophy winner as well and another Heisman candidate. So pretty amazing football team. They're fun to watch. They throw the ball deep a lot, which is exciting football. They're not overly great on defense, so you get to see the other team score too. Makes it fun for betting, right? But anyways, if you guys have any more questions, please let me know. I'm not really interested in doing anything with my cheeks. So if that guy's going to ask me another question, I'm not doing that. I don't know anything about emo. So if you're not really talking about sports or something I might know something about, then probably I'm not going to know your answers. So, but if you want to talk about sports or sports betting or websites for sports betting or anything to do with that kind of stuff, casino stuff, I'm going to have some information on that. I might have a thought or two, but some of that other stuff I have no idea. So I live in the country in Arkansas, in small town Arkansas. So I'm not into all the hippity dippity. Still Yankees 6-5. That's a big deal. All right, I love that. You're trying. Very nice. But anyways, guys, ladies, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your time with me. New Orleans or Carolina? Okay. New Orleans or Carolina? Ugh, that's so ugly, right? I'm not saying New Orleans. I'm not really saying Carolina either, though. Yeah, I guess I'm picking one. I'm picking New Orleans. They're the more talented team for sure. Um, and you're getting a short line on the road. If you're making me pick one, I'm taking New Orleans. I don't know who they're going to start at quarterback, whether it's going to be Rattler or Hayner. Or I saw a thing where Derek Carr started practicing again, so that's good for them. I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but he did start practicing again. So if Carr's there, this is an easy play. It's one of the best plays on the board if Cars is there. But um, they smashed them game one. If you're taking anything out of that, Carolina's kind of a much different team. They've sold off all their players. Yeah, it's in New Orleans. It's New Orleans, I would say. Again, my money's not going to be on that one. I just I don't have enough faith in either team to put money behind it. So that's what I'd be. But if I had to choose, it'd be New Orleans. Oh yeah, is this like a arena concert, or is this like a club show? Whatever. Dallas. Oh, it's so hard to bet on Dallas. Gosh, if it's so hard to beat back Dallas, even with 8.5 points. God, they're just so inconsistent. I can't get behind them myself, but 8.5 points is a lot. So not terrible. I think there's so many better bets than Dallas to put with that. There's just so many better plays. Buffalo's a much better play. A big deal concert. Okay. I guess that means arena. I mean, I've been to club shows. I've seen uh, headlining acts in clubs. So um, I don't really arena concerts and club concerts. I'd much rather go to a club concert in a club than an arena because most of the time the arena it's kind of just a bunch of people. You don't really enjoy the concert very much. But anyway, if you guys don't have any more sports questions, I'm going to let you go. Watch the rest of this baseball game. It's, I believe, the last money I have out for the night. Um, just need the Yankees to win, and that'll be a sweep on baseball tonight. That'll be cool. Some plus money bets in there too, huh, Googs? So that'll be fun. Anyways, guys, thank you for your time. This is Jacob from Wager Me This. You guys have a great day.